My squat was weak, just like yours, for years. I got stuck in that like 3 to 4 plate range and I could not make progress however hard I tried. Now I can squat almost 250 kilos, and a big part of the process in me getting stronger was fixing my squat technique. I did a lot of work over the years, and in this video, I'm going to condense down like 10 years of learning for you so that you can improve your squat and go on to immediately hit PRs. If you want me to personally have a look at your squat, I'll review your technique, I'll tell you exactly what needs to be fixed, then click the top link in the description to hire me as your personal strength coach, or the second link if you just want some good strength training programs to go and follow that have produced multiple 3, 4, and 5 plate squatters, even above. So let's get straight into it. I've coached hundreds, if not thousands of people, including national level powerlifters, and in this video, I'm going to break down for you some of the most common mistakes I see in the squat. I'll give you solutions, and then you'll literally just go on to improve your technique and hit some PRs. So, mistake number one in the squat is trying to stay too upright. Too many of you have got this idea in your mind of the squat that you have to be perfectly up and down, perfectly vertical. You watch these Olympic lifters who have got really short femurs, they're like 5.5 foot tall, and they can squat really nice and upright, and you think that's a good squat. Then people see a bent over squat with a horizontal torso and they think, oh, bad squat, his back's bent over. It's idiotic. A good squat is dependent on the individual. We are all built in a wide variety of ways, so we move in a wide variety of ways, and that means our squat looks different. If you have, this is just like a very broad general assumption, but if you have really long femurs, your squat is going to be more horizontal. If you have short femurs, your squat will be a little bit more vertical. And that's not a good or bad thing. We just need to find a squat where we can maintain balance over the middle of our foot, and ideally we want a straight vertical bar path so that all of the force we're producing is going into moving the barbell, not wasting energy. There's nothing dangerous or injurious about bending over when you squat. You might want to try and think about maintaining the same back angle on the way down and the way up for efficiency, but you're not going to get hurt if you bend over when you squat. Trust me, I've squatted like low bar squat, horizontal, up to 250 kilos over 10 years. I've never had an injury squatting. You will be perfectly fine. So there's going to be a bit of a spectrum based on anthropometry, like I said. So if you've got really long femurs, like me, you're going to be bent over quite a lot. The shorter your femur gets, the more upright you're going to be. This spectrum also covers bar position as well. So if we're using a high bar squat, we're going to be a bit more upright, front squat a bit more upright, and then as we start to move towards a low bar squat, we're going to be a bit more bent over. Because when the bar is placed lower on the back, it requires a bit of forward lean in order to keep the bar balanced. So I would recommend that to improve your squat, you stop thinking about staying really upright, because too many guys will do a low bar squat, they're really trying to stay upright, and then they get folded at the bottom. And that's why you fail heavy weight. So instead of trying to fight your anthropometry and stay really upright, find a position, find a degree of torso lean that you can maintain through the lift. Don't try and fight, and because you'll just fall over, like you can't balance. The weight is going to force you into the right degree of torso inclination, and then you want to maintain that through the lift, okay? Mistake number two that I see is absolutely no bracing. So people either misunderstand how to breathe when they squat, or they just don't really think about it at all. You've got that old advice that PTs used to teach where you want to take a big breath in on the descent and then on the way up exhale. You don't want to do that, to be clear. If you're trying to lift the most amount of weight possible, you want to perform something called a Valsalva maneuver. Basically, in really simple terms, we're just going to take in a huge breath of air at the top of our squat. We're going to hold that through the rep, and then we're going to let it out at the top. So we let it out at the top of the next rep, okay? The technical term is we take in a big breath and we hold it, but we're almost like trying to breathe out but not letting the air come out, and that will create a ton of intra-abdominal pressure in the torso. So it's going to make this area around your trunk really stiff so that we don't get folded over and we can stay nice and rigid and produce a ton of force into the barbell. So Valsalva maneuver is the way you want to breathe, okay? So at the top, think about taking in a huge breath of air, and I want you to think about, so let me kind of illustrate with this. So let's imagine that this was like made out of a flexible, pliable material, like a balloon or something. So when you take in your huge breath at the start of the rep, think about expanding this all the way around. So I want this whole thing to expand and fill up with air. You can even think about like you've got your bout on around this bottle. This is like your torso, right? Take in a huge breath of air. I want the whole thing to expand into your bout. That's what you need to be thinking about when you take your brace, when you take your breath. So suck in a load of air, fill up this whole torso into your bout all the way around. So your stomach should be coming out, the sides should be coming out, your back should be coming out, like metaphorically, and filling up with loads of air into the bout, okay? Going to create a ton of stiffness here and rigidity, so that we can transfer that into the barbell. Too many of you either don't think about your breathing at all, or you just kind of like take in like a really small breath and then you go down and you get folded because there's not enough tension and pressure in this area, okay? So next mistake number 3 is not using the stretch reflex or the rebound out at the bottom of the squat. So a lot of you are descending with a lot of hesitation, and then you're hitting the bottom and you kind of slow down. You almost do like a little mini pause down there at the bottom because you haven't committed to the descent with enough kind of speed. And then it makes the concentric or the way back up really slow, really grindy. What I want you to do instead, and you'll notice a lot of the best squatters in the world do this really, really well, is to descend with some speed. So think about descending as fast as you possibly can whilst maintaining control of the bar. So don't just free fall and just drop down, but you do want to hit the hole with some aggression. I'll tell a lot of my lifters, like, commit to the descent and really hit it with some confidence, because then you'll use that stretch reflex and you'll be able to lift more weight. You'll be far more efficient. There's a stretch shortening cycle that goes on in your muscles as you're descending. You want that stored elastic energy to benefit you on the way back up. You'll notice that when you do pull squats, you can lift less weight, and that's because we allow that stretch reflex to dissipate. On our main squat, we want to use that stretch reflex. Think about if you were about to do like a jump, you were about to jump as high as you could. First, you would kind of dip down, then you would do the jump, right? You do that because you want that stretch shortening cycle, you want that stored energy. So hit the hole with some confidence, and that will help you to come back up faster and lift more weight. Mistake number 4 is the knees shooting back out of the hole. Hopefully I've got a clip that I can post on screen of my own squat, because this is something that I struggle with. But a lot of guys who do the low bar squat, basically they will squat down. So let's say this is the knees, right? So you squat down, the knees are going forward, and then immediately out of the hole, the knees shoot back. It's probably better to show you a little example. So let's say like you're doing a low bar squat. I don't think you're going to be able to see my knees here. Let me have a look. So yeah, let's say we're doing a low bar squat and we're going to squat down, we maintain our torso angle, and then this happens. If you can see that, where the chest immediately falls, the hips shoot back, and then it turns into a 2-part like good morning. And you'll even see this happens to my own squat sometimes when the weight gets really heavy. It's really difficult to kind of counteract. But the reason it's happening is, 1, you're not doing a good job of managing your balance. And 2, sometimes it happens because of a lack of coordination or strength in the quads, okay? So if you're having this kind of chest fall pattern happen where you go down, immediately the chest falls, the hips kick back, the knees shoot back, what I would recommend you do to fix it, number 1, get the knees forward earlier in the descent. So on the way down, get the knees forward nice and early and hold them forward. So think about pinning the knees forward, or you can cue yourself stay in the quads. That will stop the knees shooting back and it will stop the chest falling as well, okay? Thing number 2 you can do, you can directly strengthen the quads. So I like to use leg presses, belt squats, leg extensions. Probably belt squats, hack squats, and leg presses are my favorite because they remove the back from the equation and directly target the quads. Another thing you can use is targeted accessory lifts to kind of bring your awareness to the problem, okay? So I really like using pause squats. So we'll go down there, we'll pause for a 2 count, and then we'll come back up, or a pin squat, because these movements will like immediately punish you for the knee shooting back. Because if you're doing a pin squat and the knees shoot back, you're going to be in a disadvantageous position. You'll straight away notice, okay, that got way harder, let me correct that on the next rep, and then you'll go on to fix it, right? So strengthen the quads, use some assistance exercises, and just bring your attention to your balance and cue yourself to pin the knees forward, okay? The final mistake that I see, and this often happens again in the low bar squat, and this one most definitely came from Starting Strength and Mark Rippetoe and people like that, is having the elbows way too high. So you're doing a low bar squat, and you got the elbows up here. This is how your squat looks. If you can see that, you got the neck really far forward, the elbows are all the way up here, the upper back's rounded, you're in a bunch of thoracic flexion. Then you get elbow pain, you get wrist pain, and you just can't bench press because your elbows are fucked, basically. I used to do this all the time, literally for years, and yeah, it came from the starting strength type model where they're getting you to do this thumbless grip, and there's a bunch of things you can do to fix it. It's actually surprisingly easy to fix, but I just think the way the squat is taught has resulted in this happening. Not to mention, like, the downsides of doing it, you get a bunch of pain, your squat looks horrible, you get completely caved over at the bottom and the bar tips forward, making the lift way harder. So, easy fixes. So, thing that I would do first, experiment with grip width. So try a little bit of a wider grip, see if that allows you to get the elbows down. And to be clear, we want to get the elbows down like this. So instead of being up here, we want to get them down and forwards towards the wall in front of you, okay? We want them ideally to match the angle of your torso. So your arm would line up with the back angle. You can see this in my squat if you watch it from the side. Now, easy ways to fix it, like I said, adjust your grip width, so go a little bit wider. Another thing you can do is try a talon grip. A talon grip is essentially, say this is the barbell, very small barbell. Usually, obviously, you grip the bar like this. A talon grip is like this. You place the pinky finger under the barbell, and it just takes a little bit of pressure off the shoulders so that you can actually get the elbows down a little bit. I like to use that grip on my warm-ups, and then gradually I'll put the thumb back over the bar. Another thing you can do is use a wrist wrap. That will allow you to get the wrist in a bit more extension or break at the wrist so that you can get the elbows down, okay? I would fix this one early because if you allow it to continue up to heavy weights, in my experience, you'll get a ton of forearm and elbow pain, and it will just make you fail heavy weights because you'll get dumped forward by the elbows. So that's one of the most common ones I see. So, oh, one other that I just remembered as well. This is one that I really like to use with a lot of my big guys who are like really restricted across here and they can't get into the low bar position, is the McLeod fly. So basically you're gonna lie down on an incline bench, take a set of light dumbbells, and we're gonna lower them into external rotation. Allow the weight to pull you into external rotation, and then we're gonna reverse the motion on the way back up. We're going to do a few sets of those, and those are really good for kind of opening up this low bar position, building a bit of tolerance in that position as well, so that eventually we can open up some range of motion, get the elbows down a bit, take some load off the arms, okay? So those are the most common mistakes that I see in the squat. Hopefully you took some value from this video. Again, if you'd like me to directly have a look at your squat, tell you what to fix, I will do so if you book a call with me. Top link in the description. You can hire me as your personal strength coach. Again, second link if you just want to go and run my programs. I struggled for years with the squat. It took me literally like 7 or 8 years to get my first 5-plate squat. So I hope this video helps you to learn from my mistakes, build your squat in half the time it took me. If you'd like a free program to go and run, click here to follow this one. Hopefully that will help you to improve the strength of your squat along with the technique. If you have any questions on the squat, post them in the comment section down below. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next video.